Alrighty then, looks like we're live. SEO this week. Welcome everyone to episode 161. Today we are going to talk some generic news stories that I found. Honestly, it's nothing a whole interesting this week, so I'm going to show you some different things, and then or do some follow up from all the comments from last week on the schema. And I started off showing you guys how to use the article schema and how to read schema.org, which was great, but I forgot the whole how do you put this on your website. It's kind of important, right? And a lot of people run into that. One, either they don't know how. Two, they don't have access to their specific CMS, or three is just kind of a pain figuring out how to cram it in there in the various tools and everything that's available, especially for WordPress. So I'll show you like my default way of getting it on there if I don't have access to anything. I'll show you the tool that I use on Digital Lear to implement it, and then I'll show you a couple other plugins that I've used, and then I'll show you two tools that will the third-party tools that will help you regardless of the way you decide to implement it, and then to make sure you're writing it right. So the show is going to actually be pretty quick. I hope you guys don't mind. All righty, let's go. So let me switch over to the screen. Okay, so here we go. This first story is 10 Google ranking factors. Actually, a decent post. There's a bunch of different things in here that it kind of picks up on, and we've kind of like and then some other stuff that you might want to open up for your testing and stuff. So backlinks is obvious. I will say from the recent update, I had 2 sites hit, and it's the first time in quite some time I've actually had a site hit. I think it's been like since 2015 since the site has been hit. But both of those cases, the websites that were hit were the pages. It wasn't the entire website. It was specific pages, and I just had ranking drops. And every one of those, they were ranking purely on organic SEO only, and some interlinking. And over-the-top SEO is one of them, so I'll go and just spill the beans on that right now. You guys can look at it. But all the pages that we lost, I lost over 500 keywords in the SEO space, and every one of those that we were ranking for there was no backlinks. We haven't done any backlinking to like 99.9% of over-the-top SEO. I was ranking purely off of my organic skills and the site structure. Well, Google, in that latest update, changed that. So now the website doesn't rank. If the pages that had backlinks, they're all fine. But the ones that did not, they all dropped, which is kind of enlightening to me. So everyone's theory that we're moving away from backlinks, to me, based off of those 2 websites, the other one's a client side, I can't reveal it. It's actually 3. But all 3 of those, all the pages that lost rankings did not have any backlinks to them whatsoever. And I've already started some testing to get some of the OTT rankings back, just because I like having them. And most of the time, it's those SEO keywords, and in particular, in this case, those are the ones that get hit. Not really a whole lot of client base for them. They're coming from our other stuff, but we're getting it. I'm getting it back with individual backlinks, like some easy stuff to make kind of things, and the rankings are popping right back already. So I think it's an indication that Google tried to remove some of the backlink stuff, and then at the end of the day, they ended up saying, okay, screw it, we have to go back. So in short is, if you have pages that dropped, and you know for a fact you don't have any backlinks to them, or some of your backlinks may have decayed, etc., build some new ones, and I'm going to, based off of what I've seen, that stuff's going to come back. So make sure you're checking that out. The next one is freshness. A lot on this list. A lot of people talk freshness, but they all fail to point out that it's freshness in relevancy to the query that is there. People have started doing it now. This query dependent ranking factor, but for the most part, when they were all trying to be smart, it was freshness is a ranking factor. So people got a little bit crazy with that, and now everyone's kind of focusing on Google is looking for specific queries to have fresh stuff. Other queries may have stuff from 2005, you know what I mean? So, is it a ranking factor? Yeah, it is. But it's only for these things. So it's a little bit harder to test that kind of stuff. Topical authority. I'm not really a big fan of this whole topical authority thing. I get it. I get the idea of it. If you're doing, like in this case, cast iron seasoning, if you have a cast iron seasoning site and they're linking another cast iron site is linking to you, that's probably better than, I don't know, a baking, or not a baking. The baking will actually be a good link. A sewing site, for example. Yeah, topical authority is okay. We're doing some tests in SIA about that. Dory and the rest of the team are putting together test-to-task trust flow, topical trust flow, and all that cool jazz metrics. They're both Ahrefs fans, just like I am, so we're testing DR and UR at the same time. So I think those would be some good ones. And there was one in here, content accuracy. This one, I don't know. It says it's a ranking factor. Who's to say if it's accurate or not? You know what I mean? With all the content that's out there, there's 2 trillion websites out there. Who's the judge that says that one is more accurate over the other one? And I think that's going to go back into your schema. So if you're doing articles, and especially if you're in a medical niche, you need to be looking at your schema and adding the right things inside of there, as well as inside of your content themselves to do citations and stuff to say, so you can tie all that stuff together. And look for good authority sites. Like if you're in medical, you want medical schools, medical doc journals, those kind of things in your citations, to kind of show that your content is more accurate. But at the end of the day, it's really about optimizing your piece of content. And you could probably put all that stuff in there and say that it was Monet, not Van Gogh, that cut his own ear off, right? So that's something to think about. And that's the look at the rest of this. Obviously, there's some good stuff in there. This one is one that we're testing is content depth. See how far down below we can go before Google's like, no, I don't think it counts anymore. And that comes back to this one. In this case, they're looking at it in an econ perspective, categories versus products, right? We're looking at it from a clicks from the homepage, 3 clicks, 4 clicks, 5 clicks. And let's go, if you go 10 clicks from the homepage, which one's going to rank better? And so that's a little bit harder to set up. We think we got the physical part done. That test is running in SIA right now. We should be able to produce that at the end of the month, and along with several others. All right, let's see. Google is suggesting searches based on users' recent activity. This is kind of it's all right, I guess. But basically what they're doing is, let's say in this example, you search for noise canceling headphones. But just before that, you search for Google Assistant, or in this example, I believe it was Google Home that they referenced. Now they're combining your current search with your previous search to make it more relevant. So assuming that you're looking for 2 related things at the same time. There's other examples inside of this article that are kind of dumb. I don't really see the point of doing it though. Maybe it'll help you if you're powering through and let's say you're doing keyword research, and it combines those and it gives you different things. It gives you different rows and paths to follow. That might actually be kind of handy. But for the most part, I don't see how it's aiding the user in any rate. But it's another example of what they're doing with your data and your search data. That if you don't like that, I don't know, maybe it's time to go to DuckDuckGo. A simple keyword research process for winning. This one is from Cyrus Shepard. I'm sharing this one because Cyrus actually puts out some decent stuff. So this video is pretty good. It goes over some competition analysis, some list building, building your list, and then searching through the keywords and starting off that process. One thing he does miss is looking at the call to actions of those keywords to see if it's actually what you're looking for. So you're looking for more phone calls, and your keyword research is giving you stuff that does email submits, for example. You're kind of wasting your time. You're right. You're targeting the wrong thing. So I would add that one other step to what Cyrus does. And on top of that, there's a webinar he's offering on May 21st at 10 a.m. Pacific that you might want to sign up to. So look it out, see if you think he's as cool as I do. He's got a good hat anyway. And then sign up for the webinar. Someone asked John Mueller, I don't know why people do this, but they asked John Mueller if Quora links actually are useful to them. One, if you have a link building method, the last thing you should do is go to John Mueller and tell him about it, moron. And then secondly, expect him to actually give you an honest answer whether it's going to work. But there's a really interesting point in here that I thought was kind of funny. So a lot of people talk about this Quora question and answers for link building, and it does work. And it actually gives you traffic. The downside is based off of their user base. If you're let's say if you're in the U.S. and you're a U.S. business, and you think that you're going to try to convert some of your customers from Quora, you might have a problem. It's like the numbers, what is it, like the 7th least site or some craziness in the US. When you compare all of their traffic and stuff, US is near the bottom. And if you want to target India, then knock yourself out. Quora is a great place to get Indian traffic, but if you're looking for US based customers, Quora is not it. So if you are one of those people that are on the questions and answers gig, but you also talk about how your backlink should always have traffic, and it should be traffic that's good for you, that will actually convert, and those are the best backlinks to get, then Quora is probably not the place to go if you're a U.S. business. On top, Mueller did say that they claim that they're on top of websites that use Quora for backlinking. The amount of stuff that goes on the Quora, I'm like pretty skeptical over that. But that being said, it's a hit and miss game over there. There's a lot of time and effort that goes into doing those Q&A links properly, and so I think you would probably be better off on a site like Reddit if you're going to try that out. How to extract images from Word, Google Docs, PDFs, and more. This is actually, it was kind of timely. As I got a client and he has got a writing team, and we asked for a whole bunch of work, and they actually give it to us in Google Docs, and the images were all there and everything else. We're like, where did these come from? And then they put it on the website. Well, the problem was it was linking to it's not Google Photos, but it's a similar link. Like if you put it on like a Google post and then right clicked and then tried to get the link, you get that crazy old long googly link. So this shows you a way to pull them out of Word, Docs, and PDFs, etc. The short version is you turn all these into HTMLs, and then you do the right-click save as the image, and that works better than other methods. At least the writer claims it, but I think it's pretty interesting. If you're looking into that and you have some issues pulling images and out, that's a cool little handy post to get you through that process. All right. So like I said, it didn't have a whole lot of interesting news to talk about this week. At the end of the day, that was really it. And I found this at the end of the last show. Right after the last show. And I put this one up. So it's been that long. I've been going through stuff looking for, good things to read about. So that's it for the news for this week. So let's get on to, right now, if you guys have any questions on the news stories, that'd be great. And then I'm going to take a drink while you type that up. Okay, so let's get into the schema. So if you were watching last week, I did a schema, how to pull graph schema out of Yoast, and then how to turn that into your own. So I want to do a little bit of step back. If you were brand new to schema, that method I showed you is probably not like if you're like me and you don't care about breaking things, you want to work on things for a week straight, then to make sure you get it right and get the most power out of it, then go for it. That method I showed you is awesome. But if you're in a hurry, you don't want to learn a whole lot of JSON and getting that all right and stuff, that graph method might not be something that you want to tackle. And the reason is, I actually busted this out again for a client, and I'm rewriting all of the schema, and then we're doing it on a per page basis. And when you bust this stuff out, let me get it so you know what I'm talking about. When you open it all out like this, it's designed so that Google can read it, right? So this is this company. This company has a website. This website created this page. The problem that I ran into is when I added some more stuff to it. So I'm gonna open one up. I'm gonna let you guys see it. It's because this is a really cool app, and this is my client. Actually, I don't even have to open that up. Let me open up. There we go. I don't know if you guys can see all that. Hopefully you see it. So again, this is the organization. This organization knows about this stuff. It's the same as all this stuff. These are all their awards, quote unquote, literally, quote unquote, their awards. Here's the logos. And then this is their website. So this organization made this website. This website has this web page that was made by this person. They offer this product, and this product is a mobile application. And so all of that's in one schema. And the normal way, or the way that most people do it, is they'll type out each one of those. So they do organization first, and then schema, and then the page, or web page, and websites probably typically inside of your theme, and then mobile applications, products, and stuff. And that's all different. So you see the Google busting that all out. One issue that I ran into is if there's one little thing off, when you're taking that and you're ripping it like I showed you like this, it'll screw up the way Google reads it. And two, if you look at the way the graph system, you get this unspecified type, and that's coming from organization. So if you do it like Yoast has it, let me run this again so you can see it. If you do it like Yoast has it, typically you should see that one thing, right? There's no products, there's no other stuff on the Yoast thing, and you see they're not even using article schema. I think this is their homepage that I hit. Oh, yeah, it is. Let me hit a different one. See, it goes to article, and it is part of the web page. So let's open this one up a little bit. An article is the one that we actually copied last week. I'll do this. So there's organization, the website, the web page, the breadcrumb lists, and there's the article, and then it's made by the person. I did this. I put the product and I put the mobile app stuff right in the middle, and it screwed up Google completely. Like I couldn't find any of that stuff. So when I put this inside of the testing tool, I had a hell of a time, figuring out, what was going on. So at the end of the day, this unspecified type is no big deal. It's going to read all this other stuff. And if you look, you'll see your organization is actually inside of your web page. So web page is what that thing is, right? Google ranks web pages, not websites. And then is part of this website that was published by this organization, and then this organization knows all this cool stuff. You can do the search here, and there's the primary image, and that's how that'll work. So when you do it, like I showed you, pulling out that schema and keeping it in the graph, if you get this error, don't worry about it. Just leave it there. You'll be fine. Your organization schema is in your web page section. So it's reading the type. It's just not reading the organization all by itself. I'm going to actually work on building another template based off of the graph thing that Yoast is doing, but put it in order. So this website or this web page is created by this organization, which does this, which owns this website, just like Google's looking for it right here. My theory is that if I put it in where I start off with the web page and then organization and then website, it's exactly how Google wants to see it inside of their testing tool. I make it a little bit easier for it to read. So we'll see how that works out and apply that template process a lot better. Like I said, this is one of my clients, so it'd be cool. But if you're looking for a mobile video editor or photo editor, check out zshotapp.com. All right, so I showed you this 10 best designs of dirty markup. Click JSON and do clean. That was last week. You don't see that. We don't need that anymore. We don't need that. So how do we get this stuff on your website? So the first thing you can do is use a plugin. There's tons of them, and I say plugin when I'm referring to WordPress. There's some for Magento. I think there's one or two for Drupal, and I haven't even tried the other one, so you have to work about it. My favorite right now is SEO Press Pro. It replaced Yoast for me. It does have structured data built into it, but as you know, I did the testing. Standard structured data doesn't work, and that's exactly what they have. But unlike all the other plugins, instead of adding another plugin to this, I just use this custom feature inside of SEO Press Pro, and you can just copy paste your schema right into this pretty little box right here, and put all your own stuff in there, and you're good to go. And it's on a per page post basis if you want to. So you can set up like your site-wide organization. If you're not, using a template like I am, do your site-wide organization across the board, send that off everywhere, and then add your, mobile app or article and just write out that one little section and have two separate schemas on there. Google breaks up anyway, right? So you're not going to hurt anything. So that's one way. The other way that I've seen a lot of people talking about is going up here. I'm not sure I can do it for now. Going up here, hitting text, and if you don't have access to the head for whatever reason, you can't add plugins for whatever reason, then you can just go in here and paste your schema right here. You just hit enter, put another line in, and paste your schema right there. The downside of that method is that Googlebot may not be crawling your entire body. So what if you do a long build out thing and it only reads half of your stuff and it never even reads your page? You're kind of hurting yourself. So you always want it in the head because Google's always going to read ahead. I'll switch that back so I don't mess it up later. There's other plugins. There's other SEO plugins. One of the questions is, what do I think about Rank Math? I never used it. It was a free one. They had all these features. They were adding all this basic schema. Again, I tested basic schema. Basic schema is useless. You have to build it out and do it right. So if you're at the end of the day, if you're relying on a plugin to write your schema, you're screwing yourself. It's not doing you any good. It's not hurting you, but it's certainly not doing you any good. So I would get rid of, I would turn those features off and just get in the habit of writing your own templates. Once you have a template, you've done 90% of the work. It's just a matter of copy, paste, plug in after that point. Okay. And then the other way is Google Tag Manager. I'm going to get back to the plugins here in a minute, but I got a little bit, I got this set up. Sorry. Google Tag Manager. And back in February 2019, everyone was teaching, hey, implement it, be structured data. And then John Mueller said, don't do it. And the reason is a lot of people were dicking it up. And there's one, at the end of the day, there's one line that you have to get right when you're implementing it into Google Tag Manager. If you don't change this one line and it's up here, then it's not going to read it right if you copy paste this inside of Google Tag Manager by itself. So you need something, or you need to know that. And then this is a tool. It's the JSON LD Google Tag Manager Fix Generator. This is the domain. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but just do Google Tag Manager Fix Generator. Search for that, and you're going to find this one. And it's Sajo George is the one who wrote it. And it's pretty easy. You just paste your stuff in there. And if you see the difference, it changed this right here. You see that? It changed it from that to that. And then down here, I'm not entirely sure. You can rip out his comments. And down here, all it changed was it added a semicolon. And that's the only thing that changed. So you can delete the comments. You can delete those comments out and then copy that code. And you're off to the races. It'll work inside a Google Tag Manager if you apply it that way. That's really the big difference there when doing that. And let's see, the other way that I was doing it a lot was insert header and footers. This plugin is actually really cool. It wasn't on a per page thing. Like you can do the full site or select pages that you wanted it to show up, but it wasn't a per page thing. I haven't used it in quite some time, so maybe they updated that after people asked for it. I'm not too sure, but it's insert headers and footers by WP Beginner. That's a good one. And then this Sogo header and footer, and this one is actually on a per page type, and I've used this on a lot of sites. It's easier. You just throw it in there. You don't want to change the SEO plugins or whatever. Just do this one, shut off the features in the other one, and knock this out, and you're off to the races. So there's another way to do that. So while I'm still on the plugins, I'm going to answer some questions from the chats. Do you recommend using product-based structured data on e-com category pages? I would look at it and see if you can write that out to be more specific to the category, like talking about what the category, what is that category, what is the same as. That's a good opportunity. Some mentions if you're selling, let's say you're doing you have a whole bunch of brands, different brand names, you can mention those brands inside your schema. You could add products. But that gets a little bit tricky because one, if you have a whole bunch of products, you're going to have this huge monster list, which at the end of the day is probably not going to do you any good. And then two, if you have a rotating inventory, that's going to be really hard to keep up with. So look at the way you can actually build it out. You might even want to try article so that you can plug in some extra keywords and do all that stuff, optimization like you would do to try to rank that category page for that thing. And then add your do your sales page, and then I showed you last time where your article doesn't really necessarily have to be the same thing. You know what I mean? It's the right implementation of it is that it's the same article, but it doesn't have to be. If you're getting my black hat gist right there, so you can kind of play with that too. Let's see. I got a snippet answer on an important keyword for a service company page, but it has 0 schema markup on it, and somehow I got the snippet. I'm scared to touch it now and add the schema. The schema is designed to make it easier for Google to read it. So if they already did it and they gave it to you, then move on to something else. Don't add the schema again. And just be ready to implement it again if Google changes the way they want to look at it for that term. Typically, I think a lot of people were getting H2s and H3s and popping those in, and that's how they were capturing featured snippet. Or, bowling the steps or whatever, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff, those on-page things that gave Google bot a way to identify that, if you're looking for the 9 steps of how to slice cheese, and you write step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, and you put it into bold or heading 1, 2, 3, or heading 2s or heading 3s, then it was a pretty good indication to the Google bot that that's what it was, right? So they're figuring that out, and they just did it without schema. Schema just would have probably helped you get it faster, is how I would think of that, depending on the one that you're looking for. Let's see. This one's from Brittany. In your site structure vid, you mentioned not linking back to the service page from the location page. Notice you had header and footer links back to the services and over top. Is that SEO cool, or is that? Over the top SEO is that's a design and craziness. So, for the most part, and that's just because the owner, it's not. Is go big or go home. So, we went full retard with that website. So everything's in the footer and everything's in the header at the same time. It's not like the recommended way that I would tell you to do that. It's not going to hurt you. As you've seen from OTT and the rankings results we got there, even after we got hit, we still got well over 2,000, 3,000 pages that are ranking in the top 3. But, just be, a little bit careful with it. If you're only working on 10 cities, and then build the 10 city pages, link to those 10 city pages in the header and the footer, it's not going to hurt anything. And then the rest of your silo pages will just interlink and link to that specific money page that you made the silo for. I think Google is smart enough to figure out the header and footer thing. And the in-content links are way more valuable to Google anyway. So it's kind of the header and footer really help with crawl rate and finding all those pages, in my opinion. And then the in-content side part of that silo is what's boosting you up. Let's see. Is there any areas, segments of schema more powerful than others? Testing that out. We're looking at building that stuff up, like you saw I did with the mobile app. We're looking at, as you saw, I was looking at product versus mobile application. Part of that test is one of the schemas will actually not have product in there. If I'm not calling it a product, it's free. It's a free mobile app anyway, so eventually it will be a product for the client, but maybe mobile app is all I need. You know what I mean? So what we're doing is looking for the minimum viable product that we need for schema. We know that the minimum that everyone's doing is not enough, but I also am not dumb and saying that if you build out the schema that I did, and like I said, it took me a week to hammer all the errors and stuff out of that, times 25,000 pages is just not feasible. You know what I mean? Unless you got this stupid large team that can just plug away all day. And most of us don't. So we want to find out what is the minimum viable that we need to do it for Google right now to get the benefit out of that schema. So we're testing that. More to come inside of SIA. I'll certainly, drop some hints or show you guys some stuff here too. But SIA is, that's kind of, they're driving the testing for that. So let's see. And the last one, a site with embedded YouTube videos, any benefit on a video schema, which happens, what happens in a SERP doesn't appear more organic and the results more. Tested that is actually zero value whatsoever. I'm testing, you get the image sometimes, in that little thumbnail inside of the search results, but more nowadays you're actually doing that little carousel thing than they are showing the images in the thumbnails. The benefit really comes from the video search. So if you, let's go, I'm gonna just do one. Skating rink. The benefit comes here. You see that it's not YouTube, and they got the thumbnail in there. Funway's got the thumbnail. This one's here's got the thumbnail. So they're either pushing schema, or they have or Google bots just getting smarter and picking that up, and picking up the fact that it's got a video in it. So we'll look in here real quick. In the most cases, what I've seen is Google is just smart enough to pick the video up, and then they're kind of making their own little thumbnail. Yeah, you see there's no video in here. It is part of, yeah, see. Yeah, there's nothing in here. Aggregate rating, okay. So all by itself, it's kind of worthless. You know what I mean? You're gonna get this extra thumbnail, and you're gonna get this option inside of this videos thing. But think about it. Really, how often do you come in here and look at that? The benefit really is going to come probably in here, and you see this here, extreme action parks. I would think that video schema, or helping them out and determining that video is there and what it's about, will give you more opportunity to capture more of these than it will with the thumbnails in here. And this is kind of just seems to me the way ahead for Google versus thumbnails, because they can, go on for days here, right? I think it's the top 10 from the videos page, or top 9. So that's kind of how they're doing that. Alrighty. And I wanted to close out with one more tool, and it's JSON format validator. I didn't know about this, and I was fighting. Again, I told you I was fighting last week with that. And that client is a JSON programmer. He builds mobile apps for a living. So when I showed him the schema and I told him the problem is that, he's like, just put it in here and you'll get it. And it pissed me off, because I spent like 2 days trying to figure out the errors, and I had it within like 10 minutes after he showed me this tool. So I didn't even know it existed. So you're looking for JSON formatter and validator. It's JSON formatter. Curious script, blah, blah, blah. So just Google JSON formatter. There's a couple of them. And all you do is paste your schema. I think I kept it in here. You paste your schema in here and click process, and it tells you whether it's broken or not. You have to take this line out. The script type, it's not looking for those, you know what I mean? So take those out, because the JSON is everything in between. Click process, and then it'll tell you if it's valid or not. And if you have, let's say you have, I don't know, I didn't put one of these in here, or I picked the wrong one. Let's go process. It'll tell you which one is broken, and you got to go in there. It's expecting a comma or this, not that. So I know that was a close, so I just go back in there and fix that thing. Process, and now it's valid again. And those stupid commas, if you guys have written JSON by yourself, you know that it's the commas and those 2 brackets that get you every damn time. And this thing cleaned it right up. I almost gave up on the graph thing, because I was like, man, this is really hard, and someone is just trying to learn this out brand new. How are you going to, if I'm having problems hunting and pecking, but this tool actually saved me. This is my new favorite tool now. So jsonformatter.curiousconcept.com. Again, just search for JSON formatter and validator, and you'll find this. And I found one other one, but this one's really cool because it clicks, like you saw in here, at the arrow, and it takes you right to where the error is. So this is probably the best one. Any tips on improving image search results? Do we add to XML sitemap? I'm thinking out all the edit text, but anything else? Schema. Schema is one. You can add a whole bunch of cool stuff to schema. If you follow along from last week where I was telling you to find as much things as you can, you'll see that there's more stuff in here than most people are talking about that are doing. So there's image schema. And then if you go back here, there's image object. And image object is kind of a subcategory of image. So you'll do image and then you'll do type image object and then all this stuff. So all this EXIF data can get all populated in there. All this media object stuff can get all populated and filled in. Everything with text, you can actually start typing in different things. And I won't say stuffing your keywords, but yeah, you can stuff your keywords using all that stuff. Date created, date modified, all this stuff can be part of your image schema. And I bet you there isn't one plugin out there that actually puts all this stuff in it. And you can build it all out to your heart's content. And as you see, it just keeps, it just keeps going and going. So if you're going to do schema and you're going to rely on that for your image stuff, do it right. This is the basics. This is what your plugins will give you. This is all the stuff that you're leaving on the table. So do that. Add it to the image sitemap. That's good. And then fill out the alt text, the titles, the captions, and the description inside of there. Even though those aren't showing, if they're, most themes by default, unless the captions might, but for the rest of that stuff, it won't. If those don't show, it doesn't matter. Google's still reading that. It's still inside of there. And then you have accessibility issues, like the title is actually read by those readers and all that stuff. So, and Google knows that. And it's actually, you can put it in part of your schema saying that you have accessible images. So let's say someone gets a wild hair and they want to put accessibility at the forefront of the algorithm. You'll be ahead of the game because you leveraged all these features for accessibility inside of your schema for your images, saying, what they are, what it's about, the title, filling out all the description, filling out all of this stuff, and actually banging that away. So you may have a picture of a girl dancing to represent your SEO company. So you have My City SEO as the alternate and the title tags, but then your description and all this stuff points out it's a girl dancing and all that stuff too. So then there's more related things you might get out of that. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's see. What is the suggested WordPress theme template you mentioned last week? Man, I use so many. It really depends on what you're doing. You know what I mean? So, whatranks.com is in BuddyPress, I think is the name of it. Digitaleer is a custom based off of GeneratePress. I think it's GeneratePress. Let's look. I gave them one. Yeah, GeneratePress. This is really fast. It's and then they just built the custom design around it. So GeneratePress is really good. That's one I like to use for if I'm doing custom website things because it's clean, it's fast, and it's not full of junk. And then I have X themes for another website. I've got some crazy Envato theme for another website. You know what I mean? So I don't really pick this is the best one because I think as your skills get developed, then the theme really doesn't matter. You get the theme because it has all the features that you're looking for, not because it's fast or it's SEO optimized, because you're confident enough in your skills that you can optimize pretty much anything. So that's kind of where I'm at. So give me a slow theme, give me a Vada, give me whatever the hell you want. It doesn't really matter. We're going to optimize it. We're going to figure out a way to get everything we need into it. And then we're going to figure out how to make it faster. And that's pretty much the name of the game for everybody, right? So I don't know that I mentioned the WordPress theme template though. Take it back. Maybe if you can find it, and then maybe I can help you out what I was referencing. That might be helpful. But as I said, you see here, GeneratePress. Actually, this one's actually made in Visual Composer, starter theme. I wanted them to make it out of generated press. They ended up using this. And the Visual Composer theme was actually, it's pretty damn basic too. It's stripped down. So, and there's another one, buildersociety.com. There's a theme in here once you join this that is damn near naked, and you just plug whatever you want into it and it'll go. You can do whatever you want with it. There's a good base theme in this forum too, so check it out. Okay, any more questions on that? I hope not. I think we got that covered. Did you have a site example for logo site structure? I'm actually building one for What Ranks, but that'll be part of the course. And it's not, I don't want to keep it secret or anything. It's just, they're going to pay me money for it. So I'll get to show them first. But I'll show that to you guys before. If you want to, just leave it in the comments. So I use the comments to drive the topic for the next show. And last week I had tons of comments on implementation. So that's why we went it this way. If we don't hear anything back, the question was image schema. And I'll actually next week, unless I hear anything in the comments differently, we'll go through schema.org and we'll just build out an image object schema for a template for you guys. And show you how to read the stuff and go through it and kind of turn it into something cool. So we'll do that unless I hear anything in the comments of the video. Also, if you guys are interested in going back over the site structure stuff, let me know. I'll break out the whiteboard and we'll build it out again to show you. I can actually, I'm using Digital Layer 2. I can double dip for What Ranks. So the training I'm making, and just kind of copy paste and cheat really do an SEO this week. And part of that will go over, making a silo for, let's see. I can't use Fountain Hills because I'm doing another test with that one. We can do Phoenix. I've shown the Phoenix SEO page before. You see it's not built out. Not doing anything. It's actually ranking. I think it's like, last time I checked, it was like 28. We could build out a silo for this too. So let me know in the comments, in the YouTube comments, and then I'll figure out and see which one wins. But either way, we'll do something cool. So we'll do either building this out and making it look awesome and getting the most out of it, or we'll build out a silo for Phoenix SEO. So there we go. That's how we'll do it. So you guys get to drive the train. Alrighty. Okay, so 45 minutes. It's a good show. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate all the interaction. You make it so much more fun when I have someone to talk at than yapping to myself. If you could, hit the subscribe if you're not already subscribed. The little notification thing, so every time I push live button, you'll get an email notification. And then hit the up arrow, thumbs down, thumbs up. It's all engagement, and I appreciate it either way. And thank you guys. And I will see you Wednesday on SEO Fight Club if you guys watch that show. Bye.